So from the outside looking in, Doom is a franchise that's made for hedonists who listen to metal music, which actually isn't too far off to be honest. But how hedonistic can this game actually be when it's about killing every single monster in hell, huh? Okay, well maybe he could have done it with the Bible, but it's fine. This video is about the lore of Doom. Except for Doom 3, I don't like that one. So, like any good story, a bunch of shit happens before you play any of the games, so that'll be this section. Okay, so there's this guy called Davith the Primeval. He just sort of showed up one day, and he started making worlds. So, like, think of him as, like, kind of like God, but, maybe hold off on calling him that. Davith's first order of business was creating Jakad, and he made sure all of its people had strong ambitions and a desire to succeed without any holds bar. What a great guy for now. But after seeing all of the people he made in Jakad just sort of wither off and die, he kind of felt bad because none of them could live forever like he could. Davith then later created this world called Urdak, and he made a new race of people called the Makers in hopes that they could help Jakad discover immortality. But they don't, because they're assholes. So the Makers are different than the people in Jakad. Think of Jakad as like just creatures that sort of exist, and while the Makers are all like these higher beings that Davith put a little bit of intellect into, so they can maybe one day find out how to perfect immortality and help Jakad out, because Davith doesn't really know how to make immortality. But they don't, because they're assholes. Once the Makers all worked together hive-mindedly to perfect immortality, they said, nah, fuck you, man, if we told you, you'd fuck everything up. So then they decided to seal away Jakad with Davith inside. And Davith was like, what the fuck, bro, I made you. And the Makers were like, okay, sure, well, like, tell us why you're immortal then. And Davith was like, well, I don't know. And the Makers are like, fuck you, dude, you go back in this hole. Because they're assholes. This in turn made everybody in Jakad go insane, and they start mutilating themselves and just being overall just fucking freaks. And this eventually transformed Jakad into what we now know as Hell. The mutiny of the Makers made Davith super bitter and upset, and it turned him into the Dark Lord of Hell. So that's why I said hold off on calling him God. On occasion, when he was feeling spicy, Davith would briefly break the seal and send hordes of Jakad's new demonic people to flood Urdak and other realms, which led to the discovery that when his people were inevitably fucked up, their torment and suffering would lead to immense power that he called Hell Essence. This is important later. The Makers of Urdak were getting super annoyed with Davith like just showing up and fucking shit up, so they put all their big brains together and they figured out a way to suck this essence of a being into a sphere and encapsulate them there. So one brave Maker decided to challenge the Dark Lord to a duel, and then using this new technique, he stored Davith into a life sphere while at the same time stealing a little bit of his power and essence, calling himself the Father. And then they sent Davith's kicked spherical ass to Igmor's Sanctum. Remember how I said about holding off and calling Davith God? Yeah, that's why, because God would never lose to anybody. Afterwards, the Makers eventually rewrote all of history to pretty much retcon Davith ever existing and giving the Father all the credit, demoting Davith from the creator of the universe to just being the guy who looked over Jakad. Eventually on Urdak, which is the home of the Makers, a bunch of demons from Jakad started spilling through and causing chaos, and they couldn't take care of it. So then the Father talked to his homie Samur Maker and was like, bro, I'm really scared right now. Can you take me home? Can you put me in a ball and put me next to Davith? And can you also make sure no one breaks it, bro? Thanks. But if you asked him what actually happened, he'd be like, yeah, dude, I totally went down to hell and beat the shit out of Davith. And Samur was like, bro, please finish off his life sphere. And I was like, no, I can't. Davith's like my bro. I gave him life, dude. But I got like super tired and you gotta put me in a ball now. That bit went on a little too long, I'm sorry. So on the other side of the universe, there's this planet called Argent Denor, and this giant fucking spear destroys it, and then a bunch of wraiths come flying out, and they shit out a bunch of magic in the world and all over people's windshields and everything. These wraiths gave Argent Denor a population that had magic technology. From there, the Argentan people became Night Sentinels to protect their world and had a king named Novik. And Novik appointed 3 priests to stand around with funny hats, I guess. So everything's going pretty well in Argent Denor. They have new tech, they have like a whole system going on, but guess who, bitch? Knock knock, it's the Makers. They show up to Argent Denor because they smell culture. They say, hey, if you promise to be really nice to us, you can have immortality up on Urdak with us once you die, and it'll be kind of like heaven. Doesn't that sound nice? And then the Argentan people were like, fuck, I want that. So with the wraith magic on Argent Denor and the Makers already thriving worlds, the two motherfuckers were tight as hell. And the Argentan people used this technology to explore new worlds and spread the good word of the Father and the Khan Maker. And the Argentans were feeling so grateful, they started calling the Khan Maker their god. Oh yeah, and by the way, the Khan Maker is like a really important part of their Maker race that the Father gives special powers to or something. It doesn't really matter, just know that she's super important, and since the Father was put into a ball, she's kind of like the Khan Maker forever. Like Putin. Okay, did you get all that? Cool, because that's all the stuff that's important for later on in the video. Now we're just gonna go to the actual Doom games themselves, so if you want to pause and take a jerk-off break or go get a can of Pepsi or something, go right ahead. I want to sprinkle in a couple intermissions here because your comfort matters. Fuck you. Here's what happens in Doom 1 from 1993. Space Marine Doom guy is a skilled yet short-fused soldier. Once he was tasked to execute innocent civilians by a superior officer, this guy just beat the shit out of him as a way of saying no. This in turn caused him to get demoted, and he was sent to the Union Aerospace Corporation, or the UAC, which is all the way on Mars to act as security for the radioactive waste facility. They didn't tell him, but the UAC uses this facility to see if they can teleport between Mars's 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. But I'm sure it's fine, we're just moving molecular structure of living things from vast reaches occupying the same space as dangerous levels of chemical radiation. Where did Deimos go? Did we lose a whole fucking moon? Holy fuck, we lost a whole moon. So their portals get fucked up, but a bunch of demons from Jakad, remember that? They started flooding into the gate onto Phobos. The other Marines get their asses eaten, so all that's left is a short-tempered guy with a single pistol. Guess who you get to play as. So the game ends with the Marine entering the teleporter to the missing moon Deimos, and he kills the cyber demon and discovers that the entire fucking moon that was just lost is now floating above hell. So then he just jumps down on the hell itself, and he kills the spider mastermind who is said to have planned the entire invasion on Phobos and subsequently Earth. The game ends with realizing that we're too late. The demons from Jakad have now infiltrated Earth, and they have killed the Doom guy's pet rabbit, Daisy. Shit just got personal. So in Doom 2, Earth's leaders plan to evacuate any survivors up in the air with spacecraft. But those crafty little demons put up some force fields to prevent it. But those crafty demons did not account for an ill-tempered Marine newly invigorated with vengeance, cleaving them demons and freeing humanity. And for good measure, he decides to delve back into hell a second time to shut the portal between realms for good, taking apart the icon of sin and closing the gate. Years pass, and then the UAC looks at their facilities like, well shit, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. And then they shut down the teleportation devices beside the radiation dump, and they just leave all the shit there and head back down to Earth because fuck it, land waste. Eventually, a long-lost satellite signal sends a message to the UAC.
Hey, so, turns out, remember the time hell literally invaded Earth? Yeah, so funny story, it turns out there's a creature that has a virus that's, like, bringing the dead demons back to life, and, all the radiation we left up there just kind of been masking it from our radars. Okay, bye.
And then the UAC was like, fuck. Send in the guy who did it last time. So Doom Guy goes back to Phobos to kick some asses he already kicked before, only now he can clearly see the footprint he left in them last time. The demons are gross and they're hellbent, literally. But they aren't stupid, because the demons are like, yeah, we'll lure this Marine into hell and finish him off for good. But they quickly realize, oh fuck, old boy hates it. So the Doom Guy kills the Mother Demon, which, you know, with a name like Mother Demon, it's safe to say it's a job well done. And once he was done, Homeboy decides to close the gate again, but this time with him in it. And he's all like, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with P. And then he spends the rest of his life vowing to kill demons in hell, which is fucking rad. So remember Mother Demon I brought up like 4 seconds ago? Yeah, well she apparently has a sister called the Resurrector, and Sister Demon teleported Doom Guy back to a ravaged Earth that he saves again. And then he kills Sister Demon too. Auntie Demon? Sister? This bitch. But just as she was dying, she said, rah, fuck you, with the powers of teleportation I send you fucking somewhere, ah, and then she died. So then she sends the Doom Guy, who has made hell his second home, probably a pension plan set up there or some shit, I don't know. Anyway, she sends him to Argent du Nord, remember that place? Where he was discovered by the Night Sentinel. To them, the Doom Guy spoke a disgusting foreign French language, and was just fucking yipping about demons and ripping them apart, because that's all he's ever known. The Night Sentinels and the priests were like, alright, throw him in the arena and we'll see what's up. And so Doom Guy kicks a bunch of night asses, and a bunch of onlookers are like, what the fuck is he saying? Is he saying rip and tear? Cool, let's chant it out a bunch. I don't know, I just hope it isn't racist. And then King Novik was like, we gotta draft this guy ASAP, write him a fucking contract. And then he made the Doom Guy into the first non-Argentine Night Sentinel, which is like Obama of this fake world. I don't know, fuck you. And then the Con Maker, remember her? Anyway, she kept hearing him yipping about demons and killing them a lot, and then she was like, damn, that sounds dope. What is that, like Coachella? She wanted to see if she could spread Maker technology to this place he kept screaming about called Hell, not actually realizing it was the same place they sealed off all those years ago, Jakad. But what's that? Is that the voice of Davith? Faintly in the distance, I can swear I hear him from beyond the beyond. Hey, one day, some dude's gonna roll up and be the best Night Sentinel, and he's totally gonna kick all your asses, homegirl. I call it a prophecy. It's on the house. And she fucking hated that. In order to find this heretic she keeps hearing visions about, the Makers made this thing called the Divinity Machine. The Con Maker gave it to the Night Sentinels in order to find the, quote, Dark One. She used some of Davith's life essence from when the father tore out his life sphere, and she put it into the Divinity Machine. She told the Sentinels the machine was to judge their ranks, and they're not gonna question God. So now, Doom Guy is at Argent du Nord and in their city, but all the demons from hell are really pissed off at him. So, a horde of them teleport from hell and begin their assault on Taris Nabad, which is the holy city of Argent du Nord. This kicked off an all-out war between the Makers and Sentinels versus the ranks of hell. Sammer Maker, yes, the same whipped bitch in charge of bringing the Father's Fear to that place whose name I can't remember, he brought the Doom Guy to the Divinity Machine, and he flipped a little switch and gave the Doom Guy godlike abilities of speed and strength, on top of his already sharpened skills and hatred for demons. Sammer Maker did this because he didn't see any other way out of this war. There was only one who could do it. That, and there might have been a little bit of prophecy foretelling from Davith from beyond the beyond, but that's for later. Single-handedly, the Doom guy stopped the entire invasion and killed every demon invading Taurus Nabad, plunging a red crucible blade into the Dreadnought Titan, thought to be the most powerful denizen of hell. He quickly rose the ranks of Knight Sentinels, gained their respect, and he gained the name the Doomslayer, which if your main character's name is literally Slayer and it's not some 17-year-old's Hyundai Sonata they painted skulls on, that's fucking awesome. With all the demon corpses lying around, the Argentine priests with the funny hats, they ran some tests on them, and they uncovered what was the secret of their power, which we learned earlier was Hell Essence. After fucking around with it for a bit, they could use this Hell Essence to drastically boost their weaponry and technology, and they called it Argent Energy, because I mean, hey, they found it first. But with this new energy came one caveat. Souls must be put through sheer agony in order to maintain its power. But the power is unmatched, and adding some of this naughty wraith magic that the Argentines have been using this whole time, that can make Argent Energy a whole lot more potent. But the Knight Sentinels were kind of like, we're literally fighting a war on these things, and now you're telling us that they have great power? There's nothing wrong with what the Wraiths and the Khans have given us already, dog. Why are you doing this? It turns out that after some more research, the Priest and the Khan Maker went from being like, yeah, we can totally cut off Hell's power source from the inside and we can end this war forever. And now they're just sort of like, hold on, this stuff is pretty damn strong. Let's build a secret hell factory for Argent Energy. How does that sound? The Khan Maker is a sneaky cunt, and she made a deal with Davith through this life sphere that as long as she could farm Argent Energy in a factory known as Necroval, Jakad's demons can infiltrate any of the worlds that she oversaw, including Argent Denor. So there's this cracker named Prince Azrak, because during all this time, Jakad slowly became more than his bloodthirsty demons, but like most of the population, it's like Detroit. They have like a mayor and they have politicians, but like shit's not good. Anyways, Prince spent his whole life knowing about the Doomslayer, and he grew up and was like, fuck. I'm taking the soul of the last ever Wraith and I'm killing that motherfucker and it's gonna be an inside job. This guy's like hounding at their Argentine priest being like, where is it? And they're like, I don't know, bro. But they did know, and just as the prince was about to have it, King Novik was like, fuck you. And they escape with the artifact. The Khans, who act as the protectors for the Argentines, but as we know are in fact working alongside Hell in order to produce Argent Energy, they're like, hey boss, there's like a lot of demons coming in. We should probably send the only guy who can do anything about it. And this big pudgy fat fuck is like, yeah, but like, what about us though? Did you ever think about that? Well, holy shit, he's gone. Where is he? Later on, it turns out that the Wraith soul that Princey Boy wanted wasn't even in its container, which just sucks for the guy, you gotta be honest. So then King Novik's daughter talks to the Slayer and he's like, hey, so I know we kind of lied to you, but if we get that thing, he'll chop your ass up. Oh, also, I can just become the fucking thing? Why don't we just do that? But she forgot that her webcam was on and Prince Azrak and the Hell Buddies see this happen. So then they tentacle her away. A bunch of other shit happens, like getting vored by Cthulhu. Yes, this actually happens. But eventually, he finds the king's daughter, who has been all but possessed by the Wraith we talked about earlier. Prince Funny, the Wraith, the Fat Khan, and also the Witch, who has done fuck all this entire time, kick the Slayer's ass, burn him in acid, and enter the afterlife. Then your Sentinel homies wish you back with the Dragon Balls. If it seems like I'm skimming over this part, it's because I am, because Doom Dark Ages doesn't really provide much in terms of lore, it's just important to bring up. The Slayer fights the Prince, King Novik brings the Wraith energy back to his daughter, but she's okay this time. The Prince slithers into Hell, and the Slayer killed both him and the Witch once and for all. But as their war with Hell continued, the Knight Sentinels discovered that their people were being used as slaves, building towers in Hell, used to process agonized souls that would mix with energy of Khan Maker design. It was at this time that the Sentinels found out about the Khan Maker's plan and her trade deal with Hell, and when they went to tell everyone, instead of being like, they did what? They had a civil war between the Knight Sentinels, who remained loyal to their king and old traditions, and the rest siding with the Makers and their newfound torture tech. Little did the Sentinels realize that their own priests were on the side of the Makers, and as many good priests would do, they lied to their people. Yeah man, totally, fuck the Khan. Now, as an act of rebellion, everyone go into this portal and bring the good fight to Hell. Hurrah! But then the portals all separate the Sentinels and Hell alone, and they all die one by one. I mean, aside from the Doomslayer, but that makes sense. Also, your homie Commander Valen is alright. He was promised that his son would be brought back to life by the priests, but only if he led them to the vault where all the Wraiths are so they can use their power. This made Valen exile himself and call himself the Betrayer, and he felt like doo-doo shit because he ended up being lied to anyways. You don't get a lot of real ones like Valen. Now the Slayer was in familiar territory, killing demons in Hell every day, but this time he had the powers from the Divinity Machine. Remember that? So all three of the priests were like, fuck, why didn't we think of this? We literally saw this guy bare knuckle people for fun. We should have known he wouldn't die. So they lured the Slayer into this place called the Blood Keep, and all three of them dropped an entire fucking temple onto him, and they sealed him in a cursed sarcophagus with a sigil on the outside to warn all the creatures of Hell to beware the Slayer who remains inside. Meanwhile, most of the Makers were all pissed off that Samur Maker used the Divinity Machine to give the Slayer his strength, and so he fucked off to Earth, he grew 2 eyes and some feet, and called himself Samuel Hayden to hide from the Makers. Samuel Hayden quickly climbed the ranks of the UAC because to everyone it just sort of looked like he conveniently knew everything about this thing called Argent Energy during the planet's energy crisis. He seemed too good to be true, and kind of because he was. Everyone probably fucking hated him because he seemed like he was so gifted, but the motherfucker was literally overqualified for the job. So Samurai Hayden makes this AI called ChatGP Vega,
the sentient intelligence assigned to Mars.
But he cheated because he used a little portion of the father's consciousness You remember the guy he put into a life sphere because he asked him nicely to? He used a little bit of the father's consciousness to be put into this AI, so now there's literally AI God, so that's concerning. I wonder what images he could make. Samuel Hayden was also well aware that the Slayer was having a great big nap in hell, so then he makes an android body for himself to not get gored by one of these guys. So then he goes down to hell and eventually finds his OG in the sarcophagus and he brings it back.
But why did Samuel Hayden bring back the Slayer to Earth?
I hear your stupid ass asking. He needed to bring him back because he was getting a little bit sus of his coworker Olivia, who's been acting a little too goth as of late. So that's what happens between Doom 64 and Doom 2016, with Dark Ages thrown in for good measure. This is your second chance for a little break. Go ahead, grab a snack, text your husband, go use your flashlight. I don't fucking care. I'm gonna go light up a cigarette and I'll come back in real time when I'm done. I'm not gonna pause the recording. I gotta pad out the runtime somehow. You can just enjoy the sound of my fan. Go for a smoke.
Pussy! 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 Pussy!
Oh fuck, I didn't really expect you to stick around during the break. This is Brandon from the future. After I've recorded all these voice lines and I'm about 3/4 of the way done editing this video. I hope you're enjoying it, man. I hope you're having a great time watching it. I hope you're learning about Doom. I hope you're laughing. I hope you have a little bit of THC in your system and you're enjoying this, you know? But man, I forgot how much I like editing videos like this. I'm having such a good time. Makes me feel like I have something to do. Like on my days off when I'm not at work and I'm not in the gym and stuff, I can just work on this. I work on it for like maybe, I get up, you know, I work on from noon to 4 p.m. or something. I like schedule time for myself and I feel good when I reach a deadline, I reach a goal. Oh, and I had this script for this video written like 2 years ago, like before Doom Dark Ages even was like announced. I think the Ancient Gods Part 2 just finished. And then I was like, well, I want to make a video like of same vein as my Five Nights at Freddy's video, except something about that I really do enjoy, and not just ironically want to cash in on. You know? But yeah, I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're liking it. I hope it's entertaining. I'm not going to ask you to drop a like or subscribe or anything, but if you feel so inclined, you know what? I'm not going to tell you not to. But, yeah, thanks for fucking clicking on the video and sticking around. 17 minutes in, and you got about fucking 13 more to go. God, I'm having such a good time. Man, I made a video like just 3 minutes ago. I might call it the Hopium video. I don't know. But if that's in your feed and you watch that, this is the same mind headspace. It's a weird little weaving of timelines, but I don't know. Just trying to pad out the runtime. Like, I just didn't want to. I felt bad leaving a big empty space here, so I was like, you know what? I'll just yap. I'll just yap candidly, and you're gonna love it. Because most people are gonna skip over this. So if you actually fucking sat here and listened to me yap the whole time, then fucking big round of applause for you. Like you're one of 1%. But yeah, man, I can't thank you enough. I know, like, this YouTube is just a hobby for me. I have like just over 1,000 subscribers, and you know what? I'm happy with that. Because this thing is just a hobby, and it will always be that, but I'll always have fun doing it. No matter how long the breaks are in between videos, I'm always going to have fun doing it. So thanks again for sticking around. Oh, and it sounds like Brandon from the past might be coming back soon. I'll catch you guys later. No chase I need, no chase I need, no chase I need, no chase I need, no chase. Where was I? So when the Slayer eventually wakes up from the coffin, Samuel Hayden tells the Slayer about this ugly broad named Olivia Pierce who has gone full emo goth bitch and was way too old to be goth. She said that she loved HE double pixie sticks so much that in fact she wanted to open a bunch of permanent portals to hell so she can regularly get dicked down by one of these guys. And Samuel didn't like that.
I didn't like it, no siree, boss.
So the Slayer does what he does best and drinks Red Bull and farts. The Slayer sees a bunch of orange The Slayer sees a bunch of Argent energy sources on Mars, and he remembers how much he hates it, so he breaks the shit out of them. Olivia Adam Pierce
I got no problem with the board of directors. I got a problem with you.
eventually drags the Slayer back to hell by ripping open a portal as if it were a punishment for him. Brother probably has a 1-bed, 1-bath flat rented out there by now, but it's fine. Eventually, the Slayer gets out of hell and he meets Samuel Hayden on Mars, who tells him that there's a big-ass Argent energy well that should probably go away. Also, Olivia Squirt has a helix stone on her office just sitting on her desk, which has the same marking that your sarcophagus had, but I'm sure there's no correlation. Hayden then says, "Yo, I'm gonna put this thing on you like a rope. Just tug on it if you need out, and I'll yank you out wherever I am." Okay, bye. Once the Slayer picks up the helix stone in Olivia's office, the Slayer has a vision about something called the Crucible, an artifact from hell that can be imbued with energy to be weaponized as a blade, similar to the one that he had plunged into the Dreadnought eons ago, only now with a dope-ass looking skull on it. So he's like, well, fucking I want that. So like any good man who yearns for a cool sword, he fucking gets the Crucible. Hayden uses its rope thingy to bring the Slayer back to Mars and is like, oh shit, fuck, sorry, I got worried. I wasn't sure if you're gonna get hit or not, so like, fuck, I thought I'd bring you back. I know you didn't ask for it, but fuck, man, sorry. Like, we gotta get you back down there and break that well. Shit. But hey, you got the Crucible though, that's good. So the AI Vega, remember him, the god AI? The Slayer uses the Argent energy being used to give him power to go back into hell. He probably brought it so we could ask what it would do if its arms and legs got cut off. I don't know what else you'd use AI for in this scenario. Just know that he has literal god AI on his suit now. That's kind of cool. So after using Vega's energy to get sent back into hell, the Slayer destroys all of the race that the priests have stolen thanks to the betrayer. I said destroy, but I meant like set free. He didn't like kill them. He's not cruel to animals. This in turn gets rid of even more Argent energy used by big scary monsters. Last thing to get rid of was this nasty goth bitch Olivia Pierce. Looks like a sick and frail animal like the witch in Weapons, but then she eventually gets a glow up to be the reincarnation of the spider mastermind from the first ever game, only to get fucking destroyed again by having the BFG shoved in her fat gob. So after she explodes, Hayden ropes the Slayer back to Mars again, but this time he's like, great stuff, bro. You got the Crucible, got rid of the Wraith portals, and you got rid of Olivia Pierce. But, yeah, you know that Argent energy that you hate so much? It's kind of powering most of humanity right now, and I know you just fucking hate that. Dog, we're in an energy crisis, but I know I can't fight you on it, so, bye-bye! And then Hayden sends the Slayer off to an unknown location far, far away. I mean, at least he didn't put you in a sarcophagus again, but it's still rude. Oh, he also takes your cool skull sword. Like, fuck you, man. You don't even look cool holding it. So then Hayden goes back to Earth, and he's like, yo, check out this dope-ass skull blade that I found all by myself. And as expected, when you don't finish the fucking job, shit goes sideways real quick. Hayden was so far up his own ass to realize that the only hope of winning was banished far, far away because of him. To make matters worse, he's no longer the head honcho of the UAC, and now it's led by one of Olivia Pierce's boys called D. Grenat, one of the 3 hell priests that were initially from Argent who really wants to finger the con maker. And I don't know if I have to tell you this or not, but you shouldn't have some motherfucker who calls himself a hell priest lead anything involving the government technology, but hey, what do I know? Shit gets bad, like real bad. And Samuel's genius idea to exile the Slayer was proving all the more genius as Earth gets swallowed. Hayden tries to do what he can to help the situation by forming the Armor Response Coalition, or the ARC, but as to be expected when you banish the guy who willingly locked himself in hell to protect Earth, who also has divine powers, Earth gets plunged into the worst case scenario. His stupid robot body breaks and no one can fix him because who the fuck can read God's handwriting? What is this? Meanwhile, the Slayer and Vega are off doing their own thing for a while. They're going on crazy, wacky, episodic adventures and finding this cool castle spaceship thing at an auction. Yeah, it's dope. It was built on Argent back when the cons first found it. It was pretty cool stuff. Called it the Fortress of Doom, which sounds like an Invader Zim episode, but fuck it. They even started a podcast together where they focus on football and like family matter stuff. It's very nice. It's not really said why or how the Slayer came across it, but a distress signal hits the Fortress of Doom on Earth. Several disembodied voices screaming and getting torn apart, not unlike the signals he heard back on the Phobos moon base when he was just a demoted Marine guarding the outpost with just a pistol. The demons were back and they invaded the Slayer's home once again. The con maker was now relying on humanity to refine Argent energy with their tortured souls, and Samuel Hayden greatly overestimated what he could do to stop it. First order of business is to seek and destroy all 3 of the priests that sided with the cons in Argent. Maybe because they were the first thing he came across, maybe because he just hated them for a long time, who knows. The same priests that deceived the Night Sentinels and the Slayer to be trapped in hell alone. The same priests that locked the Slayer under a coffin, now fully corrupted by all of this Argent energy and hell essence. The Slayer erases all of them with ease, but not without a little help from Commander Valen, the betrayer, who, if you've been paying attention, made a deal with the priest to resurrect his son. As an act of atonement, he gives the Slayer a locator cater to the remaining priests. You don't get a lot of Valens out there, he's a real one. Eventually, the Slayer gets to the Ark complex and takes the remaining body of Samuel Hayden and brings him to the Fortress of Doom to chill out and vibe plus weed. There he encounters a Marauder, a corrupted Knight Sentinel which he very well could have fought once alongside, before the civil war in Argent Nor that split apart the Sentinels. So he fucks his shit up, and then Hayden is like, yo, sorry for banishing you, bro. Wow, looks like I'm in a pickle, huh? Hey, anyways, that last Hell Priest is at Sentinel Prime. It's on Argent Nor. You know, the place where you cut your teeth? Yeah, so in order to get there, you have to literally go inside of Mars, so it kind of looks like we're stuck. Oh, also, did you know that we have like a giant version of the BFG now that can destroy surfaces of planets? It's fucking real cool stuff. Hey, where are you going? So then the Slayer fucking shoots himself out of a cannon onto the surface of Mars using this massive BFG and uses the gate inside of Mars to go into Sentinel Prime. He gets nostalgic for a second, remembering the time that he had to prove himself worthy in the Colosseum. Only now he fights the Gladiator and he kills it dead. He also finds the last Hell Priest there and he also kills him dead. Even though the priest was bad now, the Slayer spilled the blood of someone who was important to the Sentinels on holy ground no less. This makes the Knight Sentinels disband the Slayer from the ranks forever, which he doesn't seem too torn up about. So the Con Maker is like super duper pissed now because 3 of her funny hat buddies are killed dead, and she says, dude, if you don't quit it, I'm gonna fucking revive the guy you killed in Doom 2 and unleash him onto Earth. I'm not kidding. Since the Slayer won't quit it, he prepares to fight the guy he killed in Doom 2. He knows that the only way to slay a Titan like the Icon of Sin is with the Crucible from before.
Only a Slayer's crucible blade can stop a Titan. For you penance.
But not the lame-ass skull one that Hayden stole.
What the fuck, bro?
No, that one teleports him to his Crucible that he used on Terrace Nabad that killed the Dreadnought many years ago. So now the Slayer decides to finally kill the Con Maker because she's being such a big bitch. And he plans to go to Urdak to do that, which is where the Makers hang out. The same place they promised the Ardentans would be their heaven. First, he has to go through Necroval, the city where all the innocent souls are trapped and tortured to create RJ energy to open a gate into Urdak. So once there, he walks in and all the robot angel losers are about to resurrect the Icon of Sin. And this part is important. Remember the betrayer Valen, who was promised his son's resurrection if he showed the priests all the wraiths? Well, now they're finally holding up their end of the bargain because the Icon of Sin turns out to be his long-lost boy, who the Con Maker can now control so long as no one stabs the dude's heart with a knife that belongs to his dad. Oh, fuck, alright. Now the Icon of Sin has no master, and the Con Maker is like, dude, fuck, you always do this. You keep fucking shit up. A bunch of chaos erupts, and now the demons are allowed into Urdak, which is always a big no-no, and the Icon of Sin is walking around Earth, which is very, very bad. With a portal to Earth now open, the Slayer gets stopped by the Con Maker, who is uber mega fucking pissed, super mega angry now. She deems to destroy the Slayer for his concept meddling with her plans as god of an entire species and an all-powerful being who So after he fucks her shit up, no one can rule Urdak, leaving demons to run the joint. And then the Slayer goes to Earth, where the Omega Titanic Demon, the Icon of Sin, awaits. Unleashed onto the planet, a walking force of chaos, determined to destroy everything in its So once the Slayer fucks up the Icon of Sin with the Crucible in its brain, he has to clean up the mess left on Urdak, which is now being run on demons. Samuel Hayden is like, yo, so just my 2 cents here, but maybe we should bring back the father. You know, the dude in the ball, maybe being essentially god of everything, we could maybe help us out with this. But first we gotta find the body of this guy called the Seraphim, who I hear is incredibly handsome and has a huge penis. Turns out that the Seraphim is Sammer Maker, which if you've been paying attention is Samuel Hayden's old body before he exiled himself. Here he reveals that it was him the entire time who granted the Slayer his godlike abilities inside of the divinity machine. But in order to be a real boy, he has to go through transfiguration process, like all makers. It's important later, trust me. He tells the Slayer where he put the father's life sphere all those many years ago, and then he takes him there. But the Slayer sees 2 spheres, and he's like, yo, who the fuck's the other guy? Oh, that's the Dark Lord. We don't really fuck with him. He pretty much made everything, but he's also the root cause of all the demons you've been fighting your entire life. Like, the sole purpose for your suffering, and if he died, then all hellish activity would cease for eternity. But we can only bring one of them back, and I don't think we should- Where are you going? And the Slayer destroys the sphere of the father because fuck his ass, and then he takes the Dark Lord's life sphere with him so he can blast his head off and be done with all this bullshit forever. Sammer doesn't really like that. He kind of just destroyed his homeboy.
I didn't like it, no siree.
He takes his sphere back to a now corrupted Urdak, which is about to resurrect the Dark Lord to kill him again. But here's where Sammer's real boyification comes into play, as he becomes an awful monster fueled by hatred for the Slayer destroying this father's sphere and does everything in his feasible power to- So after the Slayer fucks up Sammer, he resurrects the Dark Lord, Davith, who strangely looks exactly like the Slayer.
It is you in their world.
Both of which are opposing forces, and both are the strongest beings in the entire universe. It only makes sense that they're identical. A being given flesh and blood who, until now, was only a mere influence on the most powerful beings to foretell this prophecy. He created this universe, he can do whatever the fuck he wants, in or out of a life sphere, and that includes planting the seeds for this one moment. He used the Slayer to kill the Con Maker. He used the Slayer to destroy the father's life sphere, and allowed Jakad's people to enter the holy world of Urdak, gaining vengeance on all who wronged him, and the Slayer was but a pawn, after being sealed away by the father, who betrayed him in a battle. After the Slayer shoots him in the face, he doesn't die. Blood can't be spilled on holy ground, quite literally. So Davith challenges the Slayer to a battle in the capital of Hell, of Jakad, the first city he ever made and was sworn to protect. The Slayer, who is now being tasked to find a gate into the Hell's capital, must go into the heart of the giant-ass Wraith Sphere from the very beginning of this video. Once he enters the sphere, it turns out that the whole fucking thing was a giant-ass ship, absolutely cream-pied with sleeping wraiths. And this whole time, only 3 of them caused on the entire planet of Argentinor to have its technology. Fuck, buddy. Look at all the fuckers in there. There's flies buzzing around in there. So after he gets the Wraith Crystal, the Slayer can reach the Gate of Divim, which, conveniently enough, is on Earth. What's even better is that after cleansing the Earth of demonic possession from before, everything is reclaimed in green again, which is just really grand. Once he enters the gate, Slayer is once again a one-man wrecking crew inside of Hell, because pussy-ass Davith had time to prepare a whole fucking mech suit and an army inside of his cozy little ivory towers. But in a climax that's super fucking dope, a bunch of portals open all over, and the remaining Night Sentinels, the Earth's Ark, come to aid the Slayer, led by betrayer Valen. And the Night Sentinels are like, fuck, sorry for exiling you, bruh, but this is kinda do or die, huh? And once he enters Davith's throne room, he's already getting grapes fed to him and his feet rubbed despite existing for like 30 minutes. Davith opens up in a rare heart-to-heart moment with his twin brother, and he says how he was the original creator of everything. The makers betrayed him, and once the father took over and sealed him away in a Pokeball, they rewrote history as if he never existed. They sealed him off in Jakad, informing all the demons of Hell. Endless plights and wars fought, and only now Davith is finally able to see after the Slayer stabs Davith in the neck, all of the demons outside of Hell dissipate and vanish. Davith underestimated the power of the Slayer when he's filled with so much fucking hate. Anything of Davith's influence begins to fade into nothing as if he never existed, as the Dark Lord no longer exists, including Vega, including Urdak, the Makers, Jakad, demons, and the Slayer himself. Because remember, he was imbued with a portion of Davith's power during the Divinity Machine, and then he collapses to the ground. He's sealed away into another coffin as he was in Hell, and they place him in the Igmore Sanctum, where both spheres once stood. It's uncertain if the Slayer is dead or not, but all we know is that if he's ever needed again, his fight is eternal. If there's to be a moral of any of this story, it's that the love for a pet is never too large, and you know what? Any character motivation is a good one. I'll see you in the next one.